What is up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of the Start, Build, Grow Show. All right, today, man, I have another very, very special guest with me today. And this guest is actually like the OG of OGs of the Start, Build, Grow Show. You could probably remember, like when we first started the show, we were filming using a iPhone and just hacking things together. And we happened to be hanging out in Lincoln, Nebraska. We show up to your old office and we just sat there. Let's record something and film a show. I think that was maybe like our third or fourth episode, and we're now like awesome. Well over. It was fun. We're now like well over 200 episodes of the Start, Build, Grow Show. That was 4 years ago, and
I was hoping to be the person that killed the show. I just thought, you have me on, I tank it, they won't be able to do any more episodes, but you fought through. I'm proud of you.
We did. You tried. Okay, we had like 3 people watch that episode, which is great because everything we talk about today is all brand new. Nobody knows, and you've become kind of a big deal in roofing. But the man, the myth, the legend, Luke Hansen with CompanyCam, the founder and CEO of CompanyCam. You guys may or may not have heard of a little tech company, called CompanyCam, right? What's up, bro?
I'm glad to be here, man. It is. It's funny to think. I mean, I remember you guys coming to town. We were in that was our old office. Have you seen the new office, by the way? It's sweet. You should see it.
Dude, I have not, but I've heard it's like majestic.
It's an office, but it's like we've got a mural and it's in a cool spot. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. It's like a block from where our old one was too. But no, man. I mean, it's. I don't know, the lessons of if you don't see something for a while, it's like someone's kid. You don't see them and you don't see them on like Instagram or whatever, and then you bump into them and you're like, holy cow, like, Sally, I thought she was like 3 and she's like 10 now or something. And versus like when you see it every day, when you're in it, it's like it's a grind. You're hustling and you always like see everything going wrong, and so it's. That's how it is here. Like we have arrived somewhere, and things are going great, but it's also like it's just a grind. And when you were starting your show, I mean, that was what, episode 4 you were saying, and now you're over 200. It's just like at any given moment, you can see what's going wrong. You wish that XYZ was going better, but then you get down the road, and before long, you're having events at sweet conferences that you may have just invited me to. Hopefully I'm not giving away secrets.
Dude, give it away. We actually, the website just went public a couple of days ago. It's the roofingsummit.com. And yeah, man, Breckenridge. We are taking over Breckenridge, and we're snowboarding.
Breckenridge is such an awesome town.
Amazing things.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah,
okay.
Breckenridge.
Well,
is cool.
I won't resell the whole pitch you gave me, but like going to Breckenridge, doing some time on the mountain, doing some, it sounds like personal growth, industry stuff. Like I'm excited. Like it sounds like it's going to be clutch.
Hey, and for those of you who are just now getting to get some exposure to Luke, like to get him to go to the show himself, like he's got an army of people now that do this stuff for him. He's got like people who have people who have people. We booked this call 9 months ago to get him on here with like 12 reschedules
what did I tell you,
time
Randy?
is valuable.
I'm like, yeah, if you want to try to get me to do any actual work, you got to fight through layers and layers. No, it's fine. Yeah. I mean, I just got back from a show because I haven't been out to many. Because I don't know. There is like a lot of work to do, and I struggle with what work I should be doing because I really can't be responsible for any given thing. It just, you got to run the business. You got to like keep your head above things. And like, it's like, you have to show up every day to make sure that like these processes are moving forward. Like, that's not where you need to be. But at the same time, because I no longer work at a contracting business, like a roofing business every day, I feel like I have to more and more get out to the events and talk to people and like kind of get close to it because like I know it, but it's also like it changes. And even just stepping away for a little while, you kind of forget. Like I joke that I have to go out to these events to remind myself of how terrible our app is. Like I have to get out there, I have to show it to people on the spot, bad internet connection, and re-frustrate myself with everything that needs to be better about it in order to like come back and like light a fire under everyone to like, do more, faster, better. I say that, hey,
well, that's the
it's
tech
a great
space,
app, but
right?
like
It's just do more, faster.
You're never
better.
done.
You're never done. Yeah. So we'll get into some of that fun stuff here, man. I'm so grateful to have you back on the show. But let's digress. Let's go back. I mean, you and I connected. I'm blessed because I've been in this industry a long time, and I've kind of seen the emergence of technology, and I've been lucky to just really connect with some really cool people, cool entrepreneurs that I've been able to build. You're like a good friend of mine, not the founder of CompanyCam. Like you're my boy, Luke Hansen. Like let's just go hang out and like do stuff, but like I had the opportunity to kind of connect with you fairly early on in your journey. I think maybe your second office, you just rented this space, and it was just kind of a hodgepodge of a bunch of little desks and people running around. You were just getting your first few people like onboarded for business development, and you had your development team, and you're just branching off from the company. And now it's become this like, this like gold standard of like tech companies in the space. And you're not even roofing anymore. And now everyone's like, oh, I'm going to be like CompanyCam someday. But like, let's go back to the beginning, man. How did CompanyCam happen? Like, what happened there? How did you get into roofing? And walk me through that journey.
Yeah. So, I mean, my dad started our family roofing business called White Castle Roofing, shout out, Lincoln, Nebraska, back in 1984, which is the year I was born. And so I grew up, he was roofing. I mean, a lot of days he was like roofing houses, like, they were just doing the work. And then, I started like cleaning up the ground, and then I was ripping off the shingles, and then finally it got old enough to like nail down the shingles, and essentially did every job you can do at like a local roofing business. And went to college, dropped out of college, went back to college, finished college, basically worked for him off and on, or mostly on, until I was like 30, basically. And, I was like running the marketing, doing a bunch of stuff. But I realized like I was responsible for like the kind of gutter and siding division. And then I was also running the marketing. And at this point we had maybe like 50 people. Maybe a full-time like year-round people, like 30 or something. It was a good enough size that it was like a bigger, a real operation, like, and things can get lost, cluttered. And I knew we needed to be taking pictures, and we were taking pictures, but I couldn't, like, they would try to give them to me on like that little like tiny SD card that you would like pop out of your phone. Just like 2014-ish. And I wanted to get them on the website, but I couldn't find the ones I wanted. And like, it was just like this kind of like cluster. And I didn't think we were ready for like one of these kind of big systems to run your business. Like we weren't that sophisticated. We kind of had strung together like a Excel, like Trello, this kind of like system that worked
Google
for
Drive,
us.
Yeah.
And I mean, it worked well enough. And now they're like running on like NetSuite and all this fancy stuff over there. But the point is, I was like, okay, we got to have these photos so that we can actually find them. Because like you can't find one, and it's like this lady says we damaged her gutters or cracked her driveway, or we can't remember what color the downspouts are, and like all the reasons that you're out like taking pictures, or the insurance company says that it wasn't actually like that, and we're like, no, it definitely was. But if you can't find it, then you're just like losing the argument, basically. And then I wanted to use them for marketing, so I'm looking around like, okay, we need these photos. There has to be like some app for us. Like, like I'm Googling and I'm just looking everywhere trying to figure out, okay, organizing these photos by location. That's like the simple idea I had, so that we can find them later without everyone having to remember to like put them in the Dropbox or the Drive and like create the right folder and don't do the wrong folder and then do it at the end of the day, like every day. Don't forget, I don't know. Yep. People forget. Like it just wasn't working. And there just wasn't a solution. Like I couldn't find anything remotely close to what I wanted. And I remember I was listening to I remember specifically listening to Gary V podcast. And then there was another podcast by a guy named Pat Flynn called Smart Passive Income that I would kind of listen to because I was like into like the internet and tech, and like I studied like mechanical engineering. I just like making things. I don't like taking care of things. Taking care of things sucks and it's boring, and like I'd do a lot to get out of like taking care of something. But building something, that's a whole nother story. Yeah. I would spend way too much money and work way too hard to build like a deck or just something because building is fun. And I was listening to these podcasts and I was like, okay, why not just do this? Like, this clearly is a problem. I have this problem. I know that we need this, or I at least suspect we do. I think other people do. And it was kind of that moment of like, I remember telling one of my buddies who actually works here now, like, I'm like, I'm just convinced this has to exist. Like, I'm certain that people need something like this. Now, whether we actually succeed at being the people that make it and like it works, who knows? I don't know anything about making apps, but I was sure that like this is like a problem that needed solved. And so then I run on the kind of like the ask forgiveness versus permission framework most of the time.
Yeah.
So
you know, you're a lot alike.
I just like hired these like software developers, like this little dev shop outfit to make the first version of it. And that's just started rocking and rolling basically.
That's so cool, man. It's like, I love like grassroots entrepreneurship, right? Here's a problem. Let's figure out if a solution exists. Oh, it doesn't exist. Okay, let's figure it out. Let's solve that problem. And, I came from a short time. I was an insurance adjuster, and they had their own kind of antiquated database like internally. And it was all about documenting and taking photos of every little piece of everything. And I just remember, and even when I got into roofing sales and roofing in general, I remember even construction back in the day. I used to take pictures all the time. And I used to have a digital camera. I used to walk around, click, 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 take the little card out and put it in my computer. And I'd spend like half my day just like tracking stuff for clients, just to make sure I had everything documented. And then I remember, and still to this day, for someone who miraculously is not using CompanyCam, they're look at their phone. And you know what? I had a client just the other day. We pretty much send all our clients your way, but I had one actually that wasn't using CompanyCam. I'm like, so let me see your phone. And they bring literally like thousands of pictures of roofing on their phone. I was like, imagine a life or a world where your phone was maybe your family or something not so boring as just another roof on another
We have a
day
TikTok ad right now.
It's so funny.
We made this ad like just down that whole premise. Everyone's probably seen it because we go crazy like pushing our ads everywhere. But of that like, when you're looking for that photo on your phone of your kids or something and you can't find it because it's like ridge vent, gutter apron, yep. Like it's just like disaster, weathered wood, like that for most people, just the simple fact of separating your work crap from your personal stuff is like worth the price of admission. Besides all the other stuff that you could be doing. But hey, thank you for that referral. Your check is in the mail. We'll send you the CompanyCam singlet that we promised you, and we'll expect to see you wearing it on the next podcast.
I need something for my kids, the whole deal, bro. And I have like I got all the OG CompanyCam shirts, which I actually should have grabbed one, but I need some new swag.
These
the hat's dope. We need some new swag, and I need to be able to give out some swag. Because you guys are, been partners with the Academy and the show for a long time, so we always like throw you guys out there, and I want to make sure that maybe we'll do some swag giveaways or something too.
Yeah, you got to remind me of that.
I know, right? Have your people. Give
my people get in touch.
We'll figure that out. So back to the kind of the story. I think there's some awesome takeaways for the listeners here about just it doesn't matter the space you're in. If you're ready to, make something happen as an entrepreneur or as an entrepreneur, there's just so much to be said about taking action and just making things happen and going after and chasing those dreams without having it all figured out. Right. I mean, that thing that comes up quite a bit. And I talk to people who, I'm going to own a business someday. Okay. Why not? Why not now? Well, I haven't got it figured out. I got to do this. Make all these excuses. They want to have everything figured out before. And I'm a big believer in like just jump off the damn bridge and start building your wings. Figure it out as you go, because that's where you cut your teeth. That's where you learn entrepreneurship. And I want to hear your
100%.
side of that, because I feel like that
Oh,
you and I
yeah.
are cut from the same cloth.
Oh, very much. Like there's like a being okay in like uncertainty is, I think, really important, but you can practice that, right? Like, versus you go to a job and it's like, this is your job, this is how you're going to be judged, this is, versus you're starting something, depending on where it is, like you can kind of go any direction. You got to figure out like what matters. And I like that. I kind of got the like ADD vibes of like having a whole bunch of interesting problems to try to figure out and then screw up. And then you should have learned the first time, but you didn't. And that whole thing. But there's an element of being, what am I trying to say? I think a lot of people are afraid of failing, and that prevents them from starting. And it's okay to be afraid of failing. I don't want to fail, and I'm afraid of failing, and I would feel kind of stupid if I did. And like you always can kind of fail, but the idea, it's almost like all of that planning and all of that stuff, like that's sort of like, it acts as like a procrastination method often, but it's also like, it's sort of this like mental way of being like, oh, I've got to figure all of this out so I don't fail. And it's like, okay, yeah, you need to figure some things out, but I think anytime you're starting something, you got to like, you have like one problem or two, like nobody cares, and like you don't have a product, whether it's like an app or it's like, so you got to like make something that, or sell it or whatever, and then you got to figure out how to get anyone to care about that or listen to you. And like every other problem you have is like basically irrelevant in your business to like those two problems, which maybe you can boil down to one, like selling something to people. Like if you can't sell something to people, then you don't have anything at all. And there's like a kind of like an acceptance that not only that you might fail, you will fail. And this is what I like to talk about, the difference between failing and quitting. Like you will fail. Like you will fail. You will look stupid. I mean, you gave me this whole intro of like I'm some super important person or something, which I appreciate, right? Because I'm a genius, But no, let me tell you about this. Like no one gave a crap 7 years ago at all, or 7.5 years ago when we started. It wasn't glamorous. It was kind of like, oh yeah, he's going to try to go do this tech startup thing. What does he know about that? I'm not saying people were actively naysaying me, but like you can imagine if it wouldn't have worked and we would have failed, it would have been like, oh yeah, well yeah, of course Luke wasn't going to figure that out or do that. Like what does he know? And I think just there's a ton of that, like that the mental is a hindrance. I've had this talk with a lot of people even here, like that work here. It's like, look, your like mindset is what's holding you back. Like you're capable of a lot, and I can see it. I promise you. Like, but until you sort of decide to believe it, but also just to like just get out there and start doing things and understand that you will fail, but you don't have to quit. Now you may fail, and then you may end up quitting. I'm not going to say that like some things just, hey, we thought they might work, they're not going to work. Like that's life. You can always do the next thing, but that like making peace with the fact that you might fail, it would be embarrassing, you might lose a lot of money, you might lose someone else's money that you care about, but that you will be okay. Like I remember deciding for sure, I'm going to be fine. Like if this company fails, I will be like, I will be bummed out for like a day, and then I will be fine. Like deciding I'll be fine. I'll just do the next thing, and I'm going to be fine. And I think that like, I don't know, there's something kind of like, what's that not that new philosophy, that really old philosophy, that Roman stoicism kind of mentality around like imagining the worst case scenario. And kind of the idea is that like, you kind of like make peace with that. Once you make peace with that, then you now are freed to just go. Because like, let me tell you, we had no idea what we were doing at all. We were just like saw what we thought needed to be done. We were working towards it. We were kind of like hustling, and a lot of it like didn't work. I had a guy basically be like, I think you're blowing it and you should like find someone else to run this company. Like when we were like a year in, and I was like, that kind of sucks, but I'm pretty sure this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Like there's a little bit of like, I don't know if it's an arrogance or something, but so yeah, sorry. That was a whole bunch of like disconnected information there that basically comes to like, if you can be okay knowing that you're going to fail, that it might be embarrassing, you might lose money, that you might look stupid. If you can be a person who's okay, who can make peace with the fact that you might look like an idiot and people might make fun of you, that is like a barrier that is really hard for a lot of people to pass through. And I mean, you had to like you start this podcast, like, dude, it wasn't, I mean, you guys were hustling, but you didn't have this super professional operation, you know, and your academy and all this. Like, you have to just be okay with the fact that, like, it might not work any given time, you know, just might, I don't know. Anytime you put yourself out there, you got to be kind of okay with that. And I think a lot of people could be, but they're like either consciously or subconsciously feeling it's like kind of scared around that, like, uncertainty around failure.
Yeah. I feel like there's so much to unpack there. And I think part of it, one of the first things that comes to my mind is like our perception and what we believe about failure in general. Right. And so many people think of failure as a bad thing, or as that's like the be all end all. Like and I know for me too, like if you ask what's your greatest fear, failure. And so many of us, especially as entrepreneurs, is like, and in life, anybody, we all fear this thing of failure. But I've come to the place where I don't even believe that failure exists in a place where you're constantly learning. Because, you know, failure for me is like finite. If you fail, you're done, you're quit, you're over. You can make mistakes, you can learn, you can progress. So failure is really just a progression if you think about it. And so many people just want to have everything figured out ahead of time before they, you know, try to attack the other piece I want to like dive into is that whole concept of self-limiting beliefs, right? But from a failure perspective, I don't believe that if you keep trying and keep learning, you don't actually ever fail if you keep going and you keep learning and you just get better and better and better. You're not failing. You're just learning. It's like a rite of passage.
About the fate. Like basically, what I hear you saying, and I agree with it, is, we're on this path. Like you're sort of like moving forward, and your commitment is to moving forward, is to taking the next step, in whatever sort of like direction or just like in general. You might be going the wrong direction. You have to turn around or something. But that like, yeah, you're going to fail, but that like if you get back up and take that next step and like basically going, well, then that failure isn't where you ended. That is not where it stopped. That is not where your story turned out. And when they tell the story of Randy Brothers, yeah, his first podcast was an embarrassment and that was that, you know. No, it's like it's like, no, you're moving, you're doing it, and you didn't quit. And I think that's like there's a version of that like between failing and quitting. And even quitting, you can start another thing. Yeah. And I think that's what like
it's not like you're
that
quitting,
failure,
you're like redirecting.
Yeah, you're not dying, your family's not dying. Like, you know, if you run it through, like sometimes like when there's drama around our office or just with a person, you know, like there can be drama with people. You may have heard of them, and like sometimes they're having a bad go of it or something. And I like to think about what are the 5 most important things to you? 10. What are the 10 most important things? And then it's like, is this thing that's a problem right now in that category? Like, is that one of the top 10? Is it in your top 100 things in your life that you actually care about? Usually it isn't. It isn't. But like these things, like they grow in like weight and seriousness, and there is some sort of like, I don't know, it sounds lame to call it like a superpower or something. That's not right. But just this idea that like that sort of that commitment to like persevere and move forward and like keep kind of like grinding, let's say, is the actual like secret sauce. And if you're a super genius like Elon Musk, well then that maybe you'll make a couple $100 billion. You know, if you're me or Randy Brothers, you might be able to like go snowboarding at Breckenridge, right? Like there, but like
just live a cool life.
If you take
worry
that
about stuff,
mentality, if you take that mentality, it will work at some point.
Yeah.
Like and again, to what degree, to whatever, but I don't know, man. I'm so convinced of it. I just joke with people all the time that like it's just like not stopping. That's all. Just have to not stop and you'll get there.
It's funny. I joke like that too, where, you know, I've been a contractor, business owner for, going on 20 years now. We rebranded and launched a roofing company almost 13 years ago. And to this day, like, I had a conversation with my business partner just last week. I was like, because we got so many cool things that we're working on, like 12 years into it, we're still just getting started. And we joke about that, but like, man, we're just getting started. Like, if you have that mindset and the mentality of like, I'm just getting started, I got to bring the energy every day and try to make things happen and solve problems and create opportunities. That's what's fun about it. And if you look at, my one of my profiles online, I have this big picture of that I created, like, called "The Journey is the Destination." It's like, what are we striving for? Like, every day, we happen to be filming this on a Monday, and Monday is my favorite day of the week. Like, I love Mondays. I get another opportunity to wake up, to go to work, and to create and to make things happen. And I think that's a mindset that we all need to, if you really want to make it happen in life, embrace every single day and understand that the journey is the destination.
Yeah, and find a spot where that works for you, right? Because it may not be running a roofing business or starting an app or this thing, but like, if you can find the spot, because I think about that, like we were joking, we went on vacation to visit my in-laws in Florida, up near Destin. Gorgeous. It was awesome. And at the end, I was like, oh man, I'm so excited to get back to work. Like, I'm ready. I'm like the vacation was awesome, but like, I like doing this, and it is fun. It's like, it's all fun and game, but it is fun and interesting. And I think when you find yourself in that spot where you're doing things that are fun and interesting, then like, it's not hard to like put in the work or do the thing. And it's not always, there's like definitely a grind about it. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of this kind of like mindset, like what you're talking about, that like, and that there's not, I don't know, shortcuts or like, there's wisdom, right? Like wisdom is what is a shortcut. I was trying to explain to my 4-year-old daughter what wisdom
and
was.
Knowledge, like, that's the real currency that we're trading here. You know what I mean? The more we can gain wisdom and knowledge, the better we are, the better we become.
100%. That I was trying to tell my daughter about wisdom, or I was like, about being wise, and I was like, yeah, Grandpa's wise, and she's like, oh, does that mean old? And I'm like, well, it doesn't mean old, but it's more. It's like, the more you see, I was trying to figure out how to define it for her, because it was like, it's, you know what I mean? It's one of these words like, what does wisdom mean? And I was,
how do you explain wisdom to a 4-year-old?
Yeah,
right?
to a 4-year-old. Hey, her birthday's this week, so she'll be 5. But this, like, I got down to this point, it was like, where you've seen where you not only can better sort of predict the future of what you should do and how you should be, but then you also have the discipline to like do what you should do. Like it's not a great.
Well, at the same time, you're at a point in life where you're bringing value to other people based on your experiences, right? And that's part. I think another part of how to define wisdom, right? So one more thing I want to unpack from what you were saying earlier, and I just touched on this a little bit, but we talk about the mindset piece. And I'm a big believer, and I study some of this stuff of like self-fulfilling prophecies and self-limiting beliefs. And the concept is, if you think it and you speak it, it will become a reality. So if you think of all the excuses as to why you are not starting a business, or why you're not successful, or why you're not at a place in life where you want to be, then you begin to verbalize it. And guess what happens? It manifests itself. You stay in that place of excuses, and you stay in that place of not being where you want to be in life. But you can reverse that. I think if you starts in the mindset. If you wake up every day and you actually believe that you can make something happen, that you believe that you can create opportunities, you believe that whether it's it doesn't have to be an entrepreneurship thing. But if you believe you can create a business, or believe you can be a better person, or believe you can be a great husband, a great father, or a great employee, or a great entrepreneur, or a great inventor, whatever you believe in your mind, then you speak it. It begins to manifest itself, and it becomes a reality.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There's like a version of that story that's like kind of like magic and whatever, but there's also like what I think I heard you saying, which is like that, like we all have like doubts. It's not like and we will fail a la earlier, right? So it's not like you're 100% like, oh yeah, I'm everything that I can be, and like all my ideas are right, and I've got it all figured out. I think it's that I think I have this default belief that I can do it, that like I can change, I can, like, that it's possible. Like, not that I will, like it won't be hard, but it's just like I can do it. But then that, like, once you get in the telling yourself that story in a sense, because we're all telling ourselves a story, right? Like
Yep.
You have this narrative about yourself and your life and your day and how it's going, and like getting that, really turning that around. Like, for example, I was not like lifting weights or doing anything. I mean, I wasn't like horribly out of shape. I was not in great shape. And I decided, I was like, okay, I need to start doing this. But like knowing myself, I won't do it. So I was like, I'm going to find like a trainer person that like, if I don't show up, I know they're going to be like, what are you doing, loser? Like get on my case about it. And that, it's like, once you start doing it now, like I'm like, believe that like, oh yeah, I'm a person that like is in good shape, or you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
like,
exactly,
and I never,
what we're talking about.
I never want to go. I remember, who's that dude that just got booted off social media? Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate had this whole deal about I don't do what did he say? How I feel has nothing to do with what I do. And the point was like, doesn't matter how I feel, I still get up and I go work out and I go do this and I go do that, whether I feel like it, whether I don't feel like it. And just that, like, just if you can take one idea into your head, it is that like, it is possible for how you feel to have no bearing on what you do. And if you can do that, then you will feel like the feeling almost follows. Like I actually went to the gym this morning. I did not want to go at all. I like stayed up too late. I don't know. I was just feeling cruddy this morning, and I was like, this sounds like a terrible idea. Should I come up with some excuse? And then I was like, no, I'm going. And then immediately, like, 2 minutes into it, and afterwards, like, dude, I feel glad I did. I felt great about it. And that, I don't know, like but there's an element of kind of like you were saying of you saying it that is really meaningful, because like you do think and you do have doubts and whatever, but like once you do say it and then you do it, like you can, I don't know, you keep doing it. Yeah, I'm in. Count me into your cult or whatever it is you got going over there.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm down. Where's our cult meeting at? Breckenridge?
Let's go. We're in Breckenridge, February 5th to the 8th. It's called the Roofing Success Summit. You can get tickets now. They're the early bird special. Early bird tickets are on sale now, and it's going to be epic. RoofingSummit.com to learn more about it. We're doing 3 days, personal development, leadership development, business, high-level business strategy. This is only for owners and high-level managers of companies. Like, this is a leadership summit, and we're also going to have some fun. We're right in the heart of Breckenridge. We're about a few blocks, a walk right from the downtown Breckenridge, and then a few like 100 yards away from a ski lift. And it's going to be an epic time. We're all going to grow as people, grow our businesses, and just have some fun. So yeah, Roofing Success Summit. All right, so enough of the shameless plugs, man. As we kind of continue to wrap this thing, or continue to kind of dive in here, to wrap kind of what we were talking about there, like the takeaway there. is if you believe it, if you like take action. And what you were talking about too just a minute ago about, you know, having to create that get up and go to the gym and separating yourself from, you know, what your actions are and what you think in your head, you know, that's backed by habits, right? There's something to be said about, you know, habits. And if you create good habits for yourself, it kind of trumps, eventually it kind of takes over those doubts and those beliefs, because you just have a habit of doing. And it takes 21 days in a row or 21 repetitions in a row to kind of create a habit. And the tiny little small habits done consistently over time lead to really big results and really big changes in your life.
I'm no expert there, but I believe you.
Yeah. And I'm no expert either, man. I read a lot of books and I just do
no, I was going to say, like, I haven't even read the
rock it in. You know, that I think that comes from a book called Atomic Habits that comes from as well. And I've heard that in a few different places, but it's so true. And man, I struggle with it too, brother. Like we all do. Like, yeah, we're coming on the show. We got a podcast, and you have a very successful company. But we're just human beings. We still wake up every day, and the struggle's there. We got kids. We have life. We have family. We have, you know, business challenges, personal challenges. You know, challenges of should I go to the gym today or not, or whatever excuses we make. And I think, you know, the difference is, you know, you have to fight through those. And to do that, you got to surround yourself with things, people, and put yourself in an environment of positivity, in an environment of overcoming and being able to push through those challenges. And I mean, that brings up a whole nother topic here. And we haven't even, this is awesome because we always just go off the cuff and always have these deep conversations.
Yeah,
if you knew me and him
space,
like
man.
at like 12 o'clock at night at a conference where we're just sitting there like going into like all this like super deep level thinking, it's a ton of fun, you know. But you know, I think the takeaway there is what I was getting at is people. And if you surround yourself with people that you look up to and that you want to learn from and that are wiser than you, that have, you know, we talk about that wisdom and that knowledge, and if you surround yourself with people that you want to learn from, you want to grow from, and you connect with, then that can bring out that extra motivation, that can bring out that, you know, Luke's story about getting up this morning, going to the gym reminds me of like, damn it, I did make the excuse because I was up late yesterday celebrating my wife's birthday, and I was like, man, I should have got my butt up and gone to the gym today. So that's the type of thing, is like surround yourself with people that can help, you know, keep you motivated and keep pressing and keep you holding yourself to a higher standard. That's how you reinforce, you know, what you're trying to accomplish in life.
Yeah, well, and in a business, I mean, a business is just people, right? Like it's like if you're running, especially if you're running a business, you're trying to find great people. You're trying to empower them and like help everyone be pointed in the right direction to kind of like work towards something. Yeah. But you know, a business is not offices or trucks, or it is just people. And like that's, I think, what was hard for me, because I kept thinking like, we're building a product, we're building an app. I think about that probably more than I should, versus no, you're finding people and you're trying to empower people to work together and to try to. That's how you leverage, you know, capability. Like the amount of things that get done around here that I literally have no idea how to do whatsoever, or even that it was a thing that needed to be done in the slightest, it's all other people. And I think that transition of like, okay, I kind of like I need to do the thing, like the solopreneur, kind of make it happen, to the I need to find and empower other people to do the thing, to make the product, to do, you know, all the pieces. It's, again, I'm still not that good at it, because like handing things off is hard. Like it's all hard. Like none of it's easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it, and then there'd be no reward, you know. But it is hard. Yeah. But that like people that you surround yourself with, the people that you work with, the people, I don't know, and even just people that like are genuinely happy for you when good things happen to you, you know, like it just all matters. I get reminded of this. I think of like, I don't know, this weirdly sentimental, my kids, watching them like kind of like grow up, and they're sort of your touchstone to the fact that like time is passing. like you can like see the fact that time is going by just like looking at them and how quickly they change, because we don't change that fast. They're changing like really fast, and that there's some, I find myself, it's easy to get caught in sort of like this constant kind of like action, because like you get into habits, you're doing the thing, and I think
they can be good habits or bad habits.
Exactly. But just any habit, any routine, maybe a good routine would incorporate in this idea of kind of like stepping back, reflecting, and like, but I find for me like that, like you need to do that from time to time. I think my kids help me do that when they're not driving me insane. Of like, okay, what are we doing here? Why are we doing, like, just try to look at everything from like kind of like a different angle, a little bit distanced, like, and I don't know, like that perspective. I'm big on that. I talk about it around here a lot of I really want people with like a good like perspective. Like there's an element of like balance, like when you keep things in order, in priority, and like when you have kind of, that's that whole thing of like, is this one of the 5 things you care about the most, or 10 or 100? It's like, it's trying to help remind you of the perspective and remind you of where you're actually at versus where you think you are, where everything's falling apart, whatever. It's like, oh no, actually I'm not over there. I'm over here, and I can like kind of pull it together and get moving again, because I see, like, because I have these things in order and like in balance. I don't know, this all sounds, what am I trying to say?
Man, I love it. And we keep going into these like fun, so many cool topics, man. There's this whole episode, this whole time together has just been so full of just awesome, takeaways. And as we're kind of starting to come to a wrap here, I do want to chat about probably one of my most favorite things about you guys and your company and CompanyCam. We follow the marketing and all the social media you guys do, but you've just built a really cool culture. And you just talked about how the people are really the foundation of that. Leave us with some ideas of what it took and what your thoughts are on how you were able to do such have such an impact by building a really awesome, culture for your business.
I'm showing this book that I just pulled off my bookshelf. Hopefully you can see it. It's called What You Do Is Who You Are by Ben Horowitz. I'm not saying this book has all the secrets by any means. But this whole idea of what you do is who you are, I think is crucial. Like, you can write like your values and you can make your policies and you can tell everyone a whole lot of things, but like what you actually do, how you act, how you treat people, what you tolerate, like all this, like what you do, that is what your culture will be. And that is like the actual thing, and that no amount of like coming up with like kind of a clever slogan or going through a day or whatever is actually different than like how you actually treat real people when at the time, like so I like that book, and if you're interested in company culture, I would recommend it. I think it's really good. But yeah, dude, some of it is like lucking into it. You find some good people, you hire good people, they attract more good people, and it kind of like rolls, right? Like it goes. And I think, we have a very good balance between like having fun and not taking it like too seriously on any given day, with caring about what we're doing and working really hard, like regularly. And I was just at this trade show. It was like the Equip Expo, Hardscape North America. It was really cool. It's like the best, biggest lawnmowers, 4-wheelers, tractors. It was all this stuff. Because we have a lot of customers that are landscapers. And I was down there with some of our people, and like I was reminded how much I liked them, but that like everyone is like having a great time. Not like no one is like feeling the pressure a whole bunch. But then when the show's happening and people are walking by, like they are like hustling. They're like talking to everyone. They're having great conversations. They're like working super hard. And I was like, I don't know exactly how we ended up here. I know that treating people well, watching my dad run his business and just seeing over the course of time how like just how much it matters to basically treat people well, which doesn't mean that like some of treating people well is like not tolerating bad behavior or like subpar work or like that type of thing. But it's like, but it is it's accountability, but it's also moving with like, let's say wisdom and purpose, like not being like a reactionary, angry, unpredictable like person, and then creating like the space for people to like to do good work, to fail, but not to but to have the opportunity to kind of like grow through that, and just being clear, like you were saying, accountability, expectations. So I have no secrets. I would just say that like you got to be playing the long game, and in any you got to howler in any area, the long game is like the thing that works over a long period of time, and like treating people with like sort of dignity, respect, high accountability, patience, that works. That works. People want to work with people like that over a long period of time. You'll keep good people. Like creating a culture of kind of like a fear of like, I don't know, like kind of like where people on your team are against each other rather than everyone working in one direction, like that, or trying to make a quick buck. Like roofing is the like prime area to like try to make $1 today at the expense of like a couple dollars tomorrow by, you know, some sort of pseudo scam or something like that. Like it can work in the short term, but that all just adds up and makes things harder and harder in the long term. So for me, I was just thinking like, or I was trying to, I get sucked into the short term probably more than anyone, so I have to think about it. It's like you're playing the long game. Like, is this going to work? Can this be repeated for 5 years, for 10 years, for 20 years? And if it can, then it's probably the way you should be doing it versus the things that just like burn people out. And we found, I mean, people want to work here because like, well, it's fun, it's cool, but it's also like hard work and it's interesting, and they get to have kind of both of those things.
Yeah, super cool. I had and there it is. I mean, that's a golden nugget right there. And I had a mentor of mine, you know, explain this to me about what the key to, you know, great leadership is, and he said, you know, if you're going to be a great leader and run a great business, you know, you have to always treat people with respect, treat them as equals, but you also need to be slightly detached, right? So, you know, it's like you want to be very, very supportive. I'm very supportive. Keep people with their dignity and their respect, but I also need to be slightly detached, so you can make good decisions and have that accountability and have those pieces in place. And I think that's a profound thing to think about.
That detached. I'm trying to think if okay. You don't want to be too attached. I think one problem that a lot of people have, me included, is you worry about other people's emotional reactions and you take too much ownership of them. Right? So like if I hold this person accountable, that'll be a hard conversation, or they might feel bad, or like all of this stuff. And like,
or they might leave. Oh my gosh, you know.
Like it, in that a basic, detached, I can get with that. I think I know where that's going, and I like to talk about like not owning other people's actions. You can only own your own actions. How you talk to people, how you go about managing the business. And it's not always right. Like I tell people all the time, I'm making this decision. I don't know if it's the right one. I think it is. I'm telling you this is why I'm doing it, but it could be wrong, you know, and like, but hey, we have to go with it because like, you know, we don't have perfect information. We just got to commit and go with it. But that idea of like
make adjustments
being willing to offer that, like, it's kind of like honest feedback, honest criticism, true accountability in a way that gives the other person on the other side of that the actual honest information to change so that they can integrate that into like how they act and to become better. And I think a lot of people don't do that because they're taking too much almost ownership over that person's sort of like response, or even the idea of like, oh, the idea that something might make someone feel bad, like outside of you being like explicitly cruel or trying to be really mean or something, but just the idea that like, if they don't know your actual sort of like opinion, perspective, and what you think reality is, then they cannot use that to inform the way they see the world. And you can't get that next level out of people. And so that, I don't know, that there's some maybe candid conversation kind of mentality there that I think is important. But yes, that I'll take detached. Sorry, I'm monologuing off.
Slightly,
detached.
right?
Like,
There's a key there. It's
like,
slightly detached. Like we want to care, we want to be empathetic leaders, but we need to be slightly detached, because if we're so emotionally vested, it clouds our judgment. And we
100%.
ultimately,
I'm so on that
as
team.
entrepreneurs and as leaders, we ultimately have to make decisions day in and day out that's for the betterment of the whole and not the one individual. So that's where that,
I think,
be supportive.
You can really care,
but be detached just a little bit.
Yeah. Or I like even saying, because sometimes detached like insinuates to me that you don't care or something. I think you can really care without like kind of like being emotionally invested, or there's some version of this that I feel like I want to say differently.
Emotionally.
Exactly. And know that even if the thing that you don't want to happen happens, that kind of like you'll be fine. Like you
and
just have to keep going, and they will be fine. Yes, 100%.
Yeah. All right, man. Dude, we could do this all day. It's been awesome. Thank you for so much of your time hanging out, guys. This is been a pleasure to hang out with Luke Hansen of CompanyCam. They're a longtime friend, longtime partner, sponsor of the show. Make sure to the show wouldn't be possible without companies like you guys and Job Nimbus, one of your first integrations, and Sumo Quote, and Hook Agency, and a number of the other companies that work with us and that support our show. We are very, very grateful for you.
Stop driving job site to job site or texting and emailing photos. Know what's happening across your business. Get started for free today.
Job Nimbus is a fully customizable back office solution.
Track leads, jobs, tasks from one easy-to-use software.
And with the largest ecosystem of integrated partners, if we don't do it, we have a friend who does.
Learn how the #1 back office system in roofing
can help you be efficient, be organized, be professional, and be profitable.
Luke, thank you for your time. This has been literally a show full of golden nuggets, and it's been a pleasure hanging out with you, my friend.
Randy, thank you, man. It's always a pleasure, and I'm hoping to see you on the slopes in February.
Oh, yeah. We'll see you guys there. Take care. God bless.